This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. Topping our news tonight, it's a major ruling on one of the most contentious issues of our times. The U.S. Supreme Court has delivered a major blow to states that want to restrict abortion rights. Texas tried requiring all clinics in the state to meet the same strict health standards placed on surgical centers. It also mandated doctors performing abortions have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. Texas argued the law protected the safety of women, but in a 5-3 decision, the court ruled the law placed unnecessary restrictions on access to reproductive health.
We're thrilled that the court recognized that these laws do not enhance patient safety. Rather, they punish women for blocking access to safe abortions.
It's unfortunate, the decision that the Supreme Court made, but we're still going to be out here and we're still going to pray for the ending of abortion.
Today, anti-abortion protesters protested the ruling outside Sarasota's Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is filing a lawsuit against Florida over new abortion rules set to take effect on July 1st. The two Democratic candidates hoping to oust Vern Buchanan from his seat in Congress went head-to-head today. Voters will choose between Brent King and Jan Schneider in the August 30th primary. In the debate we had the honor to moderate, both candidates shared their views on raising the minimum wage and making it more difficult to purchase firearms. Manatee's Democratic chairwoman says there was a chance to show the party can put up candidates against Buchanan.
We're taking that step today to let our Democrats here at this club see that we do have two very qualified people, and they can listen to what they have to say and be ready to go after Buchanan after that primary.
Buchanan has represented the Suncoast in Congress for nearly a decade. It's happened yet again. Venice Regional Bayfront Health has suffered yet another plumbing problem. The hospital had to divert patients on Sunday when a water line broke. The emergency department was shut down until repairs could be made. Patient care has returned to normal, but officials say incidents like this are the result of an aging infrastructure. The hospital is more than 50 years old. Today is National HIV Testing Day, and this is why it's important. Here in Florida, our state leads the nation in terms of the highest rates of new infections. Nearly 175,000 Floridians are infected with the virus, and 1 in 8 don't know it. Sarasota's Community AIDS Network says education is the key to preventing new cases. You can find out more on how to get tested by visiting our webpage at mysuncoast.com. A Sarasota organization is receiving a $1 million donation to help care for victims of human trafficking. Saley Freedom is one of 8 Florida organizations receiving money from the state as part of a $6.8 million going to Safe Homes for Victims. Governor Rick Scott recently signed legislation establishing harsher penalties for human traffickers. It also protects victims from criminal charges. Great Britain's decision to leave the European Union may make it cheaper for you to take that trip you always wanted to London, but the problem is it is also making it a lot more expensive for the British to get away from it all here on the Suncoast. Florida's Chamber of Commerce says the drop in the value of the pound may discourage visitors from the UK. British tourists make up the second largest group of international visitors to the Suncoast. Since many planned their trips earlier in the year, the effects may not be seen until next year.
What we can hope is that by the time we get to next January, their big booking season, some of this will have settled down and that consumer confidence will be rebounding, and that is our hope.
British travelers accounted for 15% of foreign travelers to the Sunshine State last year. Beware of the invasive air potato vine. Never heard of it? Neither have I, but it's causing major problems. Hundreds of air leaf potato beetles have been brought into the Tara Preserve in Bradenton to eat away at the invasive species. Hundreds of carp are also being placed in the preserve's pond to eat the plants in the water. The strategy is being used as an alternative to chemicals. And Bob, I just don't know what to make of that.
No, nor do I. Although I play that golf course occasionally, I've not seen that. So
beware of the vine.
We'll be looking at it closer in the future. It looks like some showers and storms are starting to fire up again this afternoon and evening down to our south mainly, but they'll be working northward. A beautiful day today out in the waters with lots of sunshine. And get a look at the webcam review since this afternoon of Casey Key webcam showing occasionally some boaters going by, but really seas running less than 2 feet out there and some high clouds moving from basically the east to the west. And we're going to see more of a westerly component. Weather headlines read like this: mainly inland storms now over the next several days, although there will be a few coastal showers. Most of it will be inland. The heat index up near 100 and the tropics are quiet. You can see that line of showers and storms progressing now from near Naples up through Fort Myers and now into Charlotte County. Some of those storms rather intense, and it's going to be moving into Northport here in a little bit. You can see that. That's the East Coast breeze making it all the way over. It's been relatively quiet today with the West Coast breeze not doing much, but some heavy lightning near Punta Gorda that's entering into Port Charlotte. Tough driving near I-75, and that storm does contain the possibility of some small hail, but really very heavy rainfall. And there they are. They're going to meet there in Arcadia, too, the two breezes, and that will bring some showers and storms toward the coast later on tonight. It was a hot one, 93. And the low this morning was below average at 73, and the record high 97 set back in 2014. So the forecast for boaters looks to be pretty quiet out there throughout the morning. Maybe a coastal shower along the morning or two there, but not much. 88 the water temperature, and as far as the forecast goes tomorrow, scattered storms. A bulk of that will be inland, although a chance for a few coastal showers between, say, 10 and 2 p.m. in the afternoon. The extended forecast is calling for a little bit better chance for rainfall as we head into the weekend, the big weekend, but it looks like a lot of that will be inland storms, but there'll still be a few along the coastline, but it looks pretty good for the fireworks celebrations.
Should be an interesting 4th.
You got it.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, should Sarasota offer incentives to bring jobs to our area? Find out why Gulf Coast Builders Exchange is criticizing our Economic Development Corporation over the issue. That story when we come back.
ABC 7 News at 7, weeknights.
We've been slow smoking over oak for more than 45 years. And while sticking to tried and true traditions is kind of our thing, it doesn't hurt to throw something new in the smoker every now and then. Come get some slow smoked chicken wings at Sonny's Barbecue. Order them as an appetizer or as part of a combo with pork, baby back ribs, or both, starting at $10.99. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
This Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Minute is brought to you by Florida Leather Gallery.
Your support during the Grand Prix Festival makes a big difference. Loveland Center in Venice is one of 5 area nonprofit agencies receiving support from Suncoast Charities for Children and the Suncoast Foundation. Thanks to a recent grant from Suncoast Charities for Children, a multi-sensory room was renovated for clients with autism and other severe disabilities, and allowing program money to go directly to clients.
Florida Leather Gallery is celebrating the 4th of July with spectacular savings. Take 33% off hundreds of styles. Experience freedom of choice with a wide and wonderful assortment of leathers. Freedom from worry with our impressive collection of protected leathers. And freedom from guilt as we proudly offer the lowest price guaranteed. Plus, free delivery. It's all happening right now. Come celebrate with our Lexperts at our 6 Florida Leather Galleries.
Last month, Sarasota County Commissioners voted against a financial incentives package to bring a roofing company's corporate headquarters to the Suncoast. Why would Commissioners deep six a deal to bring a new company and new jobs to our area? We wanted to ask the Economic Development Corporation, but that is simpler said than done. ABC 7's Ray Collins joins us with more. Ray.
Yeah, not exactly a warm reception, Alan. We wanted to explain the EDC and also profile some of their success stories, but the director simply wasn't interested.
They can't take advantage of a company looking to come and call this home.
The Orlando-based spokesman for a national roofing company that was hoping to relocate here wasn't pleased last month. Sarasota County Commissioners had just shot down a plan that would have given the company over $1 million in state and local tax incentives to move here and create 180 jobs. To some, trying to recruit a company here and then getting turned down by the county was a black eye for the EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation. That's the public-private group that makes a living bringing new companies and jobs to Sarasota County.
They could have saved themselves the embarrassment, if you will, for the whole thing if they'd gotten into us sooner.
Paul Steele is chairman of the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange. He says the EDC was off base on two fronts. First off, he says they shouldn't be recruiting construction companies and offering a tax break.
It isn't about keeping out the competition. It's about giving them an unfair advantage. And so if, I'm an air conditioning contractor, and the air conditioning contractor wants to come to Sarasota, bring it on, and that's fine, but we don't want to give you a tax incentive to do it.
In the EDC's own words, they say, the three pillars of Florida's economy are agriculture, tourism, and construction. So what we should recruit in order to diversify the economic base are sectors outside of those three areas.
But they say it's not just a wrong industry to recruit, it's also the way the EDC goes about business.
No comment. I know. That's what I think. They don't comment very well. They don't bring themselves to talking to you. I realize they have a lot of non-disclosure things, but in order to avoid a scenario such as that, I think they need to pick some key people in the community who will say, hey, is this the kind of industry we want, or is this going to create a problem?
And he's not the only one who thinks the EDC's performance last month wasn't their finest hour.
Communication is critical, and perhaps one might construe as there was possibly a misfiring of the spark plugs, the order of the firing of the spark plugs, but now we can look at it and see how we can make the process better.
We wanted to find out how the EDC president, Mark Huey, planned to make the process better for next time. However, after a flurry of emails where Huey wanted to know the questions asked, as well as who else would be interviewed, he eventually declined to make himself available. We even offered to highlight a recent success story anytime, any day, but no response. So we went over to the EDC offices on the top floor of this building on Fruitville Road. In the course of our extensive emails, Huey revealed he had to leave the building by 10:45 that morning, so we stopped by earlier.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good. Is Mark here?
He's not.
Nope, he was not. A source close to the EDC told us they had a board retreat late last week, and the reoccurring theme was communication. We're told that Huey's salary, by the way, is between $170,000 and $200,000.
Ray, thank you. And in a moment, our roundtable.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
Don't miss the 32nd annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Festival, June 25th through July 4th. This year's festival features a kickoff party at the Sarasota Yacht Club, Boats on Main block party, 2 days of aquacross and powerboat racing off Lido Beach, Bayfront fireworks, and so much more. Produced by and benefiting Suncoast Charities for Children. For festival info and VIP race day viewing tickets, visit SarasotaPowerboatGrandPrix.org.
Hurricane season is here, and Suncoast weather can go from this to this in seconds. So when severe weather threatens, count on the official Suncoast Storm Team at ABC7.
We're armed with the most advanced weather technology so that we can bring you storm warnings faster and with more detail than ever before.
Plus, we focus on the Suncoast and track storms right down to your neighborhood.
On air, online, and on your mobile device. Turn to the official Suncoast Storm Team at ABC7. We're here for you.
You know what scares me? No electricity. Yeah, when this magical box suddenly stops working, I call the pros at Mr. Sparky and they send a superhero to save the day. How's it going, Pablo?
It's going great, Mike.
Pablo possesses amazing skill. He can perform incredible feats at blinding speed.
Superhero. Couldn't have done it without you.
Modest, too.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Just to be clear, I don't live here.
And joining us for more on tonight's topic is State Representative Greg Steube. He is currently running for the floor of the Senate. And we wanted to tell you we invited the Economic Development Corporation to be on tonight's show, but they declined, instead sending a statement that reads in part, the overarching goal of the Economic Development Corporation of Sarasota County is to be and assist with business growth throughout the community, from startups to established companies to those who are considering relocating here. The Board of County Commissioners may be revisiting certain policies and practices it has in place for attracting new and assisting local companies. There will be no further comment from the EDC until this matter of the Board of County Commissioners gives further direction on our next steps. So obviously, Representative, there may be a communications problem with the EDC, but let's talk about the bigger picture. There are two schools of thought in terms of economic incentives to the big companies into not only our area, but our state. You know, wouldn't you want to, don't you have to offer something to companies to move in from out of the state to set up shop here and create new jobs?
Well, I think one of the things that you do as a policymaker, and one of the things that we as a state have done over the past several years, is you make Florida an environment that's prosperous for businesses and small businesses. And you do that by lowering the tax base and lowering taxes, and you do that by reducing regulations that are hindering them from being successful, whatever type of business that is, whether it's healthcare or construction. And by doing that, you create an environment that is prosperous for businesses. And we've been able to cut $1 billion in the last 2 years in state taxes. We've cut thousands of regulations in the 6 years that I've been in the House. And I think that goes to show the growth that we've had in the state. The other side of that is, should we give money to businesses to come here?
Right, and on a larger scale, isn't that what Governor Rick Scott is doing, going around the country and trying to get businesses to move to Florida by offering them certain tax advantages?
Yeah, I think the governor's done a great job in his promise when he ran his campaign and got elected to bring jobs to Florida. And one of the things that he wanted last year was the $250 million for the Economic Incentive Fund that they had in the Senate, and the House had $1 billion tax cut. When both budgets went into the conference process, the economic incentive money got lost, and we ended up with $400 million tax cut.
But were you for or against that?
The funding is a different animal than the policy bill. There was a policy bill last year that would change the law that allow your tax dollars to go directly to a private corporation, and I voted against that bill. And similar to the situation that we saw here in Sarasota is why I voted against it. I just don't think that our tax dollars should go directly to private companies, out-of-state companies, to move to Florida to compete with existing companies that we have here. And we saw that with the Sarasota County vote with the roofing company. We have roofing companies here in Sarasota that have been here for years, that took the risk to open a business, and they didn't have our tax dollars, $1 million, to get their company started.
Right, but I believe that company said that what they were actually moving here was their corporate headquarters and people to work there, and not necessarily to take local business away from local roofers. But let's look at some other angles of this. Right now, Sarasota County is negotiating with the Atlanta Braves to build a new spring training facility in the county. That takes money, just like it took to get the Orioles to move here. Are you for or against that?
Well, I mean, it depends on how the deal is structured. If you look at a lot of these stadium, are we going to be building a stadium? Are we, what type of incentives are involved? And if it's a tax incentive or we're cutting their taxes, I've always supported cutting taxes. We've cut billions of taxes since I've been in the House. But if you look at the return on investment on a lot of these projects, the return on the investment is not good. So when you as a legislator are sitting in our position and trying to appropriate dollars that have a good and positive return on investment, we have all these other needs in the state. Those are things that you have to take into account.
But can you really calculate all of that? For instance, right now the Tampa Bay Rays are trying to get a new stadium in Tampa. And a lot of people believe if that does not happen and the Rays leave, that will be a devastating blow to our area. So is it worth, in that case, offering some kind of tax incentives to build a new stadium?
Yeah, a lot of that is a local decision. At the state level, we have a woman named Amy Baker, who's basically the state's economist, and has given us tons of presentations on the return on investment on a lot of these different programs, and it's just not you just don't get the return on the investment for the dollars that you put into the program.
I was telling you earlier, I worked in Hartford when they lost the Hartford Whalers, and I could tell you that it had a devastating economic impact to downtown Hartford, because there is something about a community looking at itself as a major league community, and a lot of businesses went away. But another example of this kind of thing is the film industry. Nancy Dieter was pushing through tax incentives for filmmakers to make movies here in Florida. And one of the things that she pointed out was, recently there was a film that that takes place in Ybor City, but it was shot in Georgia.
Yeah.
And couldn't Florida be benefiting from the money that is spent when these companies come in and produce major motion pictures like that?
I think there's an opportunity to build a tax climate that is prosperous for those type of businesses to come here and shoot those films. Louisiana does a ton of these type of direct money incentives to film companies, which is why a lot of films are shot in Louisiana, and they're now having problems with their budget because they have all this money going out and not enough coming in, and they're trying to budget for Medicaid and the other things that they have. And I think it was a state legislator there that said, well, why don't we at least have a deal where we get some money on the back end? If these movies are successful, then if we're putting the investment out front, we should get something if the movie's successful.
Louisiana has a lot of budgetary problems. Georgia is become almost a little Hollywood, because so much of this business is going to Georgia, and they seem to be doing just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think on a case-by-case basis, you need to look at the data and what type of return on investment the state's going to get, and then like a decision like the Rays or a stadium or the Braves, how much money is the state or the county going to put in, and what's going to be the return on that investment? And I think that's really important to look at.
Does it make a difference about whether this is a project that may or may not qualify for state tax incentives, or a county like Sarasota County doing what it can unilaterally to try to get companies to move in?
Yeah, again, I'm at the state level, so at the county level, those are things that the commissioners are going to have to decide. This last one with the roofing company, they decided in a 4-1 vote against the incentive for whatever reasons they voted for that. At the state level, we're just basically putting money in a pot that's then appropriated by Enterprise Florida or the governor.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a different calculus at our level, and we're just deciding whether it's a good investment for the state to do it.
Okay, and we'll have to leave it there. Thanks for coming in, Representative.
Absolutely.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
On your TV, on your computer, on your camera, on your smartphone, on your Apple Watch. And now you can get ABC7, your Suncoast News on Fire TV. Just go to mysuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab for a list of fast and free downloads that deliver ABC7, your Suncoast News on the go. This Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Minute is brought to you by Florida Leather Gallery.
Your support during the Grand Prix Festival makes a difference. Community Haven for Adults and Children with Disabilities is one of 5 area nonprofit agencies receiving support from Suncoast Charities for Children and the Suncoast Foundation. Thanks to a recent grant, a new roof was installed on their adult training facility. Special project funding like this ensures program and service money goes directly to clients who need it the most.
Florida Leather Gallery is celebrating the 4th of July with spectacular savings. Take 33% off hundreds of styles. Experience freedom of choice with a wide and wonderful assortment of leathers. Freedom from worry with our impressive collection of protected leathers. And freedom from guilt, as we proudly offer the lowest price guaranteed. Plus, free delivery. It's all happening right now. Come celebrate with our Lexperts at our 6 Florida Leather Galleries.
This Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Minute is brought to you by Sarasota Ford.
Each year during the Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Festival, local fishing enthusiasts, boat captains, and government agencies volunteer their time to take more than 80 special needs clients out for a day of fishing on Sarasota Bay. It's called the Friendliest Catch. After a day on the water, every participant is a winner and recognized during a special lunch and awards presentation held at the Sarasota Sailing Squadron.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford because Sarasota Ford guarantees you our lowest price on every new Ford every day. Save on America's best-selling truck 39 years running, the Ford F-150, Fusions, Escapes, over 800 vehicles on-site or online, all on sale. Buy with 0% for 60 months. And now get up to 2,000 trade assistance. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Sewage problems at Venice Regional Bayfront Health. Sound familiar? Over the past year, we have reported repeatedly on the ongoing problems at the aging hospital, which have forced patients to be moved and parts of the building temporarily closed down. On Sunday, a burst pipe forced the hospital to turn away patients in need of emergency care. Here is what you had to say. Louise Hester writes, "This was the dirtiest hospital I have ever been in. It should have been shut down years ago. I couldn't get out of there fast enough." Jen Christine writes, "Place needs to be shut down. SMH needs to be allowed to build another facility down south to provide health care to that community." Joseph Dom writes, "I was in the hospital last week. What a great care I received from the nurses and the aides. Thank you again for the great care." But get this, Ronald Pentecost writes, "I'd rather be in an ambulance on my way to Sarasota than go to Venice. At least I'd have a chance." Okay. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news at 7. And that is all the time we have for this evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alan Cohn. Have a good night.